Is a standing army in peacetime a threat to freedom, or is it the only thing that can preserve it? In Federalist number 24, Alexander Hamilton argues that America can't afford to confuse caution with weakness. According to Hamilton, liberty isn't protected by wishful thinking, it's protected by preparedness. I'm Matt Hasquin, I'm a high school history teacher, and we're taking a journey through all 85 of the Federalist Papers in order, and we're up to number 24, and we're back with Alexander Hamilton. So, the Anti-Federalists had warned that the Constitution gave Congress too much power to raise armies, and they feared that the government could keep soldiers under arms even when no war existed, which was a pathway to military tyranny according to Anti-Federalists. And Hamilton, in his argument, is going to take that fear quite seriously, but he tries to dismantle it with some logic, because he argues that the Constitution already includes the safeguards that they demand, and that the greater danger lies not in having an army, but in being unprepared for the next threat. Hamilton's thesis is pretty simple. It's that peace is not guaranteed, and danger doesn't wait for permission. So it comes down to the fact that the world is unpredictable. Even when the United States isn't at war, its borders, its ports, and its trade routes remain vulnerable. So he writes, to be prepared for war is one of the most effectual means of preserving peace. So without readiness, peace is just an illusion. So Hamilton reminds the readers of the essay that America is surrounded by potential threats. You have British forces that still occupy frontier posts, Spain controls the Mississippi, and the Atlantic coast is always open to naval attack. And so he asks, should the nation simply hope those powers stay friendly? Or should it maintain a modest, disciplined force ready to defend the sovereignty of the United States? And he argues for the second point, not because he loves the army, but because he understands how a map works. So, now, critics are going to claim that the Constitution lacked a check on the standing army. And Hamilton says, whoa, wait a minute. Article 1, Section 8 says that no army appropriation can last longer than 2 years. That means every new Congress, directly elected by the people, must reapprove military funding. And this, Hamilton says, is the real safeguard. The army exists only with the public's consent. It's not permanent power, it's actually a renewable trust. So Hamilton will also go on to attack the myth that England forbade peacetime armies. In truth, he says, Parliament, not the king, controlled the purse. And so England's liberty survived not because it banned armies, but because it balanced them under legislative authority. And Hamilton will go on to argue that America has done the same, only better, because Congress is chosen directly by the people. Hamilton will then insist that a moderate standing army isn't a threat. It's actually a necessity in a pretty dangerous world. And he goes on to write that the Union must have flexibility to station troops at forts and coasts and along the borders, even during peace, because danger rarely sends an advance notice. And he warns against what he calls the imprudent extremes of jealousy, suspicions of power, when taken too far, can become self-destruction. And this is where Hamilton's tone begins to grow more pragmatic, because he's not celebrating military might. He's actually emphasizing management. A republic's safety depends not on disarming itself, but on ensuring the military always remains under civilian control. So he trusts that Congress's 2-year limit, public oversight, and open accountability is going to prevent any type of abuse. So he goes on to argue for balance, and that balance is not between liberty and defense, but it's between liberty and denial. Now, when we tighten up his logic here in our chain of reasoning portion, we see first that danger exists even in peacetime. We see that a republic must be ready to defend itself at all times. We see that the Constitution limits standing armies through Congress's power of the purse. We see historical examples that prove liberty survives with control, not with prohibition. And finally, preparedness is prudence, not tyranny. And there's your 5, steps here for your homework assignment. Now, what Federalist 24 is able to capture is Hamilton's realism. It's a patriotic approach who's seen both war and politics, and he knows that peace can be fragile and that the fear of power can lead to paralysis. So he's not doing things like romanticizing soldiers or anything. He's actually recognizing necessity. He's saying the cost of readiness is smaller than the cost of regret. Now, Hamilton's message still kind of resonates through today because every generation faces the same debate. How much strength is too much? How much security is too little? And he reminds us that free societies survive not by avoiding power, but by governing it wisely. And control is the answer, not denial. So, if we want to take away things here, one, standing armies are not inherently threats. They're tools of preparedness. Two, the Constitution already limits military power through Congress. And three, liberty depends on readiness, not naivete. And so, Federalist number 24 is Hamilton's antidote to fear. He's reminding America that freedom requires courage and not comfort. Distrust of power can protect liberty, but fear of responsibility can destroy liberty. And so a republic's first duty is to survive, because only the living can be free. I'm Matt Haskman, and I'm here with more things that you should know by being alive. If this helped show you how preparedness is part of patriotism, please share or follow. And stay tuned for number 25, because this is where Hamilton continues this defense, arguing that the national government, not the states, must control the military for the safety of everyone. Thanks for watching.